In order to live a life of genuine inner peace and an equanimity of grace, there's a really important question that we need to ask ourselves on a regular basis. This is the question that I ask myself on a regular basis in my journaling, in my contemplations, in my meditations. And it's the question that I start with any person, any client that I'm working with to help find that, again, equanimity of grace in their lives. And the question is, how much stillness is there in your life? Take a moment and really feel into that for yourself. How much stillness is there in your life? And when I ask this question early on in the work of working with people, there is a universal response. I'd say it's 99 point whatever, 8% of the time. The universal response when somebody really lets that question in is a sigh. When I ask them, so how much stillness is there in your life? Most everybody pauses, they feel into the question, and they sigh, and the shoulders drop. And there's a sudden presence. And typically the words that follow are some version of, not enough, not enough. Like inherently we get it. We recognize the value of stillness. Even though the ego mind is always going and seeking and trying to achieve and to placate its sense of lack, of disconnection from our divine wholeness, from the truth of our being. Even though that activity of mind is habitually running, we recognize that there would be a lot of value to stillness. So let's talk about that a little bit. Stillness is actually the essential nature of our being. It's the most natural way of being for us as human spiritual beings. Stillness is the natural state. Peace, equanimity, love. And what interrupts that is our stories. Our ideas about what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what is threatening, what is of value, what will get me love, what will get me acceptance, what will help me feel more whole, more worthy, more fulfilled. The mind is always active, seeking, reviewing the past, thinking about the future, and it's rarely present in the stillness of being. And to be in stillness, or to allow stillness, is to allow ourselves to drop out of the noise of the mind and into the essential nature of our being that is already and always at peace. That peace doesn't come and go. It doesn't arrive and then disappear. We think it does because we're not always present to it, but it's always there. I'll give you a quick example. Bring your awareness right now to your left foot. Just bring your awareness to noticing that you have a left foot. Okay, got it? Did you just grow a left foot? No, it has been there all along. It's simply that your attention is rarely on it unless you bang your toe or on a piece of furniture. But it's there all the time. And when you bring your awareness to it, you go, oh, I've got a left foot. When we drop our awareness out of the habitual noise of our narration about the meaning of life and the meaning of this incident and the meaning of that circumstance, and am I safe and am I okay, and what did that mean, and just our constant narration, when we drop out of that, typically by following the breath, by just being aware of the breath, we find a stillness. And in that stillness is our power, because that stillness is our truth, that equanimity of being able to stay at peace so that we can meet the external world and meet our own conditioning and our own programming and our own emotional turmoil that arises, that we can meet all of that with a strength of love, of peace, of grace. When we awaken our authentic peace, when we bring our awareness to our authentic peace, we bring our awareness to our authentic power. Imagine living life at peace and not being tossed about so much by all the conditions and circumstances of an ever-changing world. But to find that stability of peace within, that is the value of allowing some stillness, so we can drop out of the noisy mind and find that placidity of self. A nice analogy is to think of the ocean, the waves on the ocean, and the ocean itself, the vast depth of ocean. Even if the ocean's got a lot of waves and whitecaps and stormy behavior, just beneath it, just drop 6-10 feet beneath the noise of the surface, the waves, and what do you find? A placidity of peace. And that depth of the ocean is far more substantial than that little layer of noise and waves up at the top. We mostly live in the noise and the waves and the activity of our own mind, and rarely drop below it to find true strength, true grace, true peace. And knowing ourselves as that peace and as that stillness, we can then meet all the activity of the world, all the activity of our mind, all the activity of our emotions, with an equanimity of peace. And life gets so much more clear because it's not clouded by the mind. We can feel more deeply. We tap into our intuition. We tap into our higher consciousness, the wisdom of our own consciousness, rather than just listening to the stories and conditioning and programming and beliefs and thoughts of the mind. So how much stillness is there in your life? And if there's room for more, a simple thing you can do is just stop and intentionally bring your awareness to your breath. Just notice the slight rise and fall of the breath, the rise and fall of the chest and the belly as the breath moves in and out of your body. And you will find a peace. That peace is the true you. The anxiety of mind is not the true you. That's just activity of mind. Adyashanti is a wonderful teacher that I've learned so much from. And one of his teachings is, come to rest in the stillness until you come to recognize yourself as the stillness. Which is to say that stillness is not just an experience that you create by being calm, by dropping out of the thoughts of the mind and into the body. You don't create the peace. You reveal the peace. It's already there. You drop out of the noise, out of the distraction of mind, and you find the peace. If you drop below the waves of the ocean, you will find a depth of stillness, of peace, of wisdom. That is the predominance of the ocean, is that which is underneath the surface. The predominance of our truth, the essential nature of our being, is peace, stillness, love, unconditional loving awareness, just the presence of loving awareness. And how do we remember that? And reveal that again and again and again? Invite stillness into your life. Your soul knows how nourishing it is to remember your own stillness. That's why when I ask people, how much peace, how much stillness is there in your life? That there's universally, a sigh. It's a yearning. It's a sigh that says, not enough. Oh, that would be so lovely. And let me just end by saying, here I am. I'm in Thailand right now on a bit of a respite, a retreat for myself. And yes, this helps enhance the sense of stillness because I'm away from my responsibilities and obligations and all the minutiae of my daily life. But recognize that there's always room for more stillness. There's always value for even more stillness because I've got a lot of stillness in my life. I've got a lot of meditation and stillness and contemplation and ease. I've got a busy life. I've got a very active life. I've got there's a lot of dynamics to my life, but I don't have a stressful life. I'm not interested in stress. Stress comes from the mind. I'm not interested in it. So there's a lot of stillness in my life. And yet even I bring myself under retreat for an even heavier dose of stillness. So I just point that out as a recognition that there can really never be quite enough. There's so much nourishment and value in stillness because it taps you into your essential truth. It taps you into the most powerful and beautiful and divine nature of your own being. To drop out of the stories and the narrations of the mind and into the essential truth of your own peace and stillness and love. All right, my friends, blessings. Be well.